So, Shameless have delivered once again this year. Good for fans, but not so good for my wallet. And they've brought us spine number 26. You heard that right? 26, but we'll talk more about that later. Strip Nude for Your Killer, also known as Strip Naked for Your Killer. This is a 1975 Italian giallo, directed by Andrea Bianchi, whose name you may recognise as they directed probably one of my favourite Vipco offerings, The Zombie Dead. The film stars Edwidge Fenwick, whose name has come up countless times on this channel. She was in All the Colours of the Dark, Case of the Bloody Iris, and The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, all of which I have reviewed in the past. So if you're interested in seeing more of her work, I've got some reviews knocking about on the channel in the Shameless collection. So this is also considered one of the earliest proto-slashers, and to be honest, I'm just happy that we're moving away from Millennium Trash for a week, because those hardcore films have been getting a little samey for me recently. Mixing it up with a giallo should be nice. So let's see if this is any good, shall we?
Carl, you think she's real?
Who could say? Yeah, she's just the model I've been looking for.
Longer. You were the one this time, too, weren't you?
You're out of your freaking mind. You don't know a damn thing. You ought to be in a bug house.
We have quite the basic plot for this one. So, people at a modelling agency are getting killed off by a killer who is disguised in a biker's outfit. And it's up to two photographers to try and figure out who the killer is before they become the next victim. It's quite bare bones, really. It's one of those where you're watching it and it just feels like you've seen it before. It's old hat. It's every other giallo film you've ever seen condensed into a relatively thin story. It starts pretty rough, if I'm honest. It didn't really grab my interest for the first 35 minutes. But then I sort of got into it a little bit. There was a good half an hour in the middle where some fun character moments and some silly bits, and I was sort of digging it for a while, but then we get into the last act and it just unfortunately peters out into boredom again. The acting and dubbing on the main characters, our leads, are fine really, they're pretty good. Yeah, nothing really to complain about with that side. But then you get the bit characters, the bit parts, and that's where things get a little sillier. But to be honest, I like that because it injects some much needed humour into some scenes, and it works, it works. The gore is fine, it's very of its time, quite stylised, bright colours, but very static. We don't get a lot of active gore in this, unfortunately, but what we do get does its job fine. The main thing with this film, though, is the sheer amount of nudity and sex in this. I don't know if you've noticed recently, but Shameless has been a little bit horny, and the past bunch of films that they've been putting out have been sex comedies, sexploitation, or just absolutely chock full of nudity, and this is no exception. Some of it does work to forward the plot, you know, there's some comedy sex scenes, there's some, you know, there's where the models are stripping for the job, so it makes sense, there's some that lead into kills, but unfortunately, for the most part, a lot of it does just serve to slow the plot down almost to a crawl, and it's kind of annoying and in the way a lot of the time. This film goes from being quite stylish and well made to being quite amateurish and really bad. There's some nice use of colour, there's some interesting angles, but then you get moments like near the end where it feels like they just chucked the camera off to the side somewhere. It's really far away from the characters and it's at a strange angle, and the characters are just sat way off in the distance to the right in the dark talking for ages, and it goes on, and you're like, what were they thinking when they were making this bit? It just seems lazy. So a bit of a mixed bag there. The music is good though, so that's a positive.
We can exclude fracture, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
However, there might be complications.
Lucky he has such a hard head.
Very lucky.
Okay, let's take a look at this print then, shall we? It's pretty good, to be honest. It's really nice contrast to it, and not too many imperfections really. There's the odd pube on the lens, but outside of that, looks pretty nice. The colours really pop, and there's a nice grain to the whole thing, and it looks how you'd want this sort of film to look. Same for the sound as well, to be honest. All sounds really nice, no imperfections, no issues. Really good, really good. As usual as well, I just played what the disc told me to watch, which was, again, the English dub as it usually is, and no complaints there at all. And on the disc, we get the English and the Italian dubs of the film. We get 2 interviews with some of the actors, one being 15 minutes, one being 18 minutes, and then we also get an alternate opening sequence. The only difference though is like for the first 5 minutes of the film, and you can choose, and then it just plays you the entire film. The only difference is that the opening sequence will either play in full colour or with a blue tint to it. So if you want to watch the first 5 minutes with a blue tint, now you can. Cool. I think it was from some German DVD release or something like that, I think I read. But yeah, there's that option. As far as extras and like content on the disc goes, I've seen more on a Shameless Blu Ray, to be honest. I have seen a lot more, but I've also seen a lot less as well. It's sort of middle of the road. Not awful, but not stingy or anything like that, but not great either. Okay, time for the case, and once again, it's pretty good really. It has the black slipcover that they've been doing for a little while now, so it fits in with the rest on the shelf, looks nice. And it has the 3 differing artworks, which are fine. I'm not huge on any of them, but I don't hate any of them either. It's definitely not their best work cover-wise. All the information seems correct as well, correct runtime and all that. Again, the blurb differs slightly from slip to case, but that's just sort of expected these days, and I think it is just a formatting thing. Once again, as I've been doing recently, I opted for a low spine number version, which you get off their website. And I got 0163, which, yeah, it's pretty low all things considered. Not the lowest one that I own, but not too bad going, really. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have here spine number 26. Now, the last film they put out was spine number 24, Killer Nun. So where the hell is 25? Well, I reached out to them on Twitter, and I actually got a response this time, which was nice. They said that 25 has been slightly delayed, and this one just happened to be ready first, so it got released. Meaning that we'll probably be seeing another film put out from Shameless very soon, I imagine anyway. It'll probably be Who Saw Her Die. That was teased a little while before this one. Still though, this doesn't explain the missing spine number 20, does it? Yes, I am still bringing that up, and I will continue to. Overall then, this was a little too run-of-the-mill for my tastes, unfortunately. Now don't get me wrong, there's some style and plenty of sleaze here with fun kills and silly moments, but I just found it far too slow, and it just doesn't do too much to really stand out from other Giallo offerings. I'd say only give this a watch if you're really scraping the bottom of the Giallo barrel and you really need something to scratch that itch. Outside of that, you're probably not going to get too much from this. If you are in the market, the print on this is great and there's some extras. It's a really nice thing, to be honest. but I have seen that Arrow have put out a version. It's also included in their Giallo Essentials Volume 2 box set. And for you importers out there, there is a Blue Underground version. Now, I can't speak for the cuts or the quality on those. Might be good, might be bad, I don't know. But this one seems pretty decent, to be honest. So, probably say, for ease, might be worth picking up if you're interested. So, sort of middle of the road, this episode, it seems. Nothing amazing, but nothing absolutely horrible either. And next episode, hopefully, we'll be getting something pretty decent, hopefully. And hopefully we'll be getting spine number 25, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Make the collection look a bit nicer again. So, until then, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.